Do you know who the most important character in Xenoblade Chronicles is? I'll give you a second to guess. Do you have your answer? Well, I would argue it's the protagonists. 9 times out of 10, for any given video game, I would say that the most important character is the one you're playing as, the protagonist. 9 times out of 10, so it's not a guarantee, but for Xenoblades 1, 2, and 3, I would argue it is. Because the characters of Shulk, Rex, and Noah, you could also argue Mio, are so pivotal to the overall theme and message of each of these games, that they are the personification of these abstract concepts given form to be vehicles in which these larger-than-life existential questions about fate, destiny, and human choice can be easily digested through the stories that these protagonists tell. And I am a big fan of what Monolith have done with all 3 of these characters. Noah, Rex, Shulk. 3 incredible characters and 3 of my favorite protagonists in any game ever. And one of the things I think that is so unique about Xenoblade as a whole is how it can tell these very different stories, connected by a sort of similar theme, and have these characters each be as engaging and developed as the other, while also being tailor-made for the story that each individual game is going for. I don't think I need to do a synopsis of each individual character, but let's do a quick one. For Shulk, he goes from someone who's just a mechanic at heart. He wants to learn more about the Monado to do what good he can with the toolset that he has at his disposal. Fiora is ripped away from him amidst a Mechon attack on Colony 9, and all of a sudden he finds himself being able to wield the legendary Monado. So what does he do? Does he take up the blade for justice to protect the people of Colony 9 and the Hums? And the people of Bionis? No, he doesn't. He's a very human character. He gets angry. He gets pissed off. He takes up the Monado, goes with Vine to march on the Mechonis and rain holy hellfire down upon them. And over the course of his journey, he meets other characters and other stories and other perspectives, such as Melia and the Hyentia. Alvis meets up with Fiora again, meets up with the Machina, and through the course of his journey, he learns what it is he wants to do, what he wants to be, who he wants to be as a person growing up. That anger, that fire inside of him subsides and is replaced by an ironclad code of ethics. His own belief structure. He wants that freedom from fate. He doesn't want there to be some god or some kind of physical representation or personification of destiny to guide and control his actions from here on out. He wants that choice for himself and for everyone else. And when faced with becoming that very god that he swore to overcome, he chooses not to take up that mantle. He chooses instead to uphold his ideals. And then we cut into the ending cinematic, Beyond the Sky plays, and it's very warming, heartwarming even. What about Rex? Well, he starts out as an ideal and as a wide-eyed idealist character who wants to reach Elysium and save the world from this dying, world. Wants to save everyone. Can't fault him for that. It's a noble goal. But what happens over the course of his journey? Does he somehow become a pessimist or a realist? No. He keeps his ideals ironclad. He keeps being that idealistic kid that he always was. But what he does is he gains perspective from various different people and different characters, learns to emphasize even more with their own interpersonal conflicts and where they're coming from. And he uses his optimistic idealism and hones it, refines it to be effective in this new world that he's recontextualized for himself. Learns that there's no longer a finish line to it all. There's no one Elysium that you can reach. You have to be willing to put the work in day after day to create it for yourself. That is how he learns to use his optimism, his ideals, for the common good. Not to reach some promised land, but to create one. What about Noah? A character who has seen nothing but war his entire life, and unlike other people is interpreted differently. Because when we look at and experience these traumatic scenes, everyone interprets it and internalizes those effects and visuals and stimuli differently. And to Noah, instead of thriving in it, instead of loving the thrill of battle, he hates it, despises it, hates this world that he's perpetually stuck in. This endless cycle of war, death, and rebirth. He has a hard time of explaining his emotions and putting his thoughts into words, but is willing to use his internal ideals as a guiding star to guide him throughout the fog and despair that he's faced with throughout the course of the game. And when faced with the highest levels of fear and despair, he is able to use the experience he gathered as a member of Ouroboros, alongside Mio, Taion, Uni, Lance, and Senna, Riku, and Manana, and all the other heroes that he's acquired and experienced and learned from them. He uses all that experience to define who he wants to become, what he's willing to sacrifice, to be willing to move on into the future and not be stuck in the perpetual present, the endless now, under the veil of a selfish goal of his own happiness at the expense of others. He will not turn out like N did, where over time all those cycles of rebirth, despair, and parting wore him down, tore him down even, until all he wanted was a pause button and everything. And Noah had to learn the hard way though, but he still learned it, that it's not an excuse, that he has to be willing to step into the future, even if it means sadness, even if it means he has to let go of those he loves, because that choice to be able to create your own future is of the highest importance. So all three of these main characters, Shulk, Rex, and Noah, are wildly different characters that all learn at the end of the day they have to be willing to march into the future, but they get that through different nuance, different perspective. They all have different takes on it. They all want to keep going to the future, want to make their own choices, but they learn that in different ways through different stories. Now, why does that matter? Because that's the message of Xenoblade Chronicles as a whole. Sure, we don't live in some fantastical sci-fi universe like the Bionis and the Mechonis or Allrest or Ionios, but these games and particularly these main characters are able to represent these larger-than-life ideas that can be so hard to explain and talk about just using basic words and verbiage, and showcase the importance of these overall themes and these messages, and how you yourself can internalize what these games are trying to tell you. Who do you want to become as a person? Do you want to be someone like N who is willing to throw everyone else to the side for their own pleasure and satisfaction? To see the world itself collapse around you while you hold on to whatever happiness you can? Or do you want to be more like Noah, who is willing to take that brunt force of reality and all the brutality that it may ensue on the chin and keep getting back up and marching into the future, even if it means parting, even if it means sadness and despair? To be willing to step into the future, even though it's hard, and that your future, that happiness and the end goal at the end of the road is not guaranteed for you. Do you want to be like Jin or Malos from Xenoblade 2, that refuse to move on from the tragedy of the past and all the pain that it entailed, forever walking down that one road of self-destruction? Or do you want to be like Rex, and be willing to learn from all that hardship and all that pain and all that suffering to become a better person at the end of it? To be able to work every day, day in and day out, through your own blood, sweat, and tears to create a better tomorrow? Do you want to be like Egil, who became so absorbed with revenge and anger that he no longer cared about what he used to believe or who he used to be, and who Shulk almost became? Or do you want to be like Shulk and have that moment of introspection where you look deep within yourself and realize this is not who you want to be anymore? You want to choose to be better. You want to be able to walk into the future, chin high, willing to embrace whatever happens, but knowing that it's at least a result of your own actions and whatever you have managed to influence. And I feel like one of the main things that I've learned from Xenoblade Chronicles over the years that I've played the series is that at the end of each day, I have to be able to look back and be content with the choices that I've made, happy with the road that I've walked, and be able to look down at all the possible paths my life can take in the future from here on out, and be happy that this is the road I've walked and the road I've chosen, because life is too short not to. Life is too short to follow a predetermined path set out for you by someone else that you don't like, that doesn't give you happiness or a reason to live. I don't need wealth or fame or power or any of that crap. I have to just be able to look inward at the man I've become and be satisfied with looking at myself in the mirror. Because sure, the path may be hard and brutal and knock you down at every given opportunity, but if you have that drive, that inner passion, that fire in your heart to get back up and continue to keep walking on, then that is how you can tell that this is the life you chose for yourself. That what you are doing, that the effort you are putting in is something to be proud of. And is it easy? Hell no. Will it ever be easy for others to... Will it ever be easy? Maybe. Probably not, though. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be even more hardships and pain down the line. Almost certainly. That's life. And will it be easier for others to achieve your dreams? Or will others be given a head start or be worse off than you? Absolutely. And it ain't fair. It absolutely isn't. But you gotta play with the hand that you have been dealt, and be content with the calls and bluffs that you make, and if you do have to fold, be able to get back in the game that we call life for the next hand with the chips that we got. Right, no matter what life throws at you, you can be able to keep getting back up and walk on. And that's why I love the heroes of Xenoblade Chronicles. Can you extrapolate and say this also applies to other main characters in Xenoblade Chronicles? Absolutely. But to me, the main characters, Rex, Noah, Shulk, those three are the best personifications of what I'm talking about here. Because they are the best personifications of this theme that is so prevalent among Xenoblade Chronicles. So I'm going to call the video there for the day. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below with your favorite protagonist from Xenoblade Chronicles. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your perspective and hear your own stories for why you have your own opinion. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.